The engines on Sodor had worked hard all day. Passengers flooded the platforms and goods overflowed trucks and vans. But at the end of the day, all the engines felt pleased and proud, knowing that they were being really useful. One afternoon, Henry was resting in a siding outside of Knapford. He had had a long day and was resting in preparation for his kipper run that night. But to his surprise, his crew walked up in front of him. "Sorry to wake you, Henry, but we've been called in to take Emily's next passenger train. Apparently, she's having some steaming problems right now." I suppose another train wouldn't hurt. So Henry backed down onto the train and coupled up. "Take care, Henry," Edward said as he pulled alongside. "I hear that maintenance is nearing completion near the hill, so you might have to give it a greater effort." "Thank you for the warning," Henry said as he started off. "I'm sure I'll be fine." Henry was gracefully clattering down the line. The coaches were content, the passengers weren't complaining, and Henry kept perfectly to time. "Whoa, boy, we need to slow down for the maintenance workers, remember?" "Oh, right." Henry carefully passed by the workers, whistling happily to them and Fergus. As soon as he cleared the site, he surged forward for the upcoming hill. Whew, the late head start really does make this difficult. Henry soon began to feel himself slipping. "Oh dear, fireman, sand please." His fireman let him pour sand onto the rails, but not before Henry's wheels slipped furiously. With a sudden jerk, Henry's wheels finally gained traction and he carried on. "Phew, that's a relief. I do feel a bit funny, though." You might have strained something during that climb. Keep the fire steady, will you, Ted?" "Right, will do." However, Henry didn't face any other problems for the rest of the journey and soon forgot about the encounter. But that night, as he was backing down onto the flying kipper, he felt weak on the inside. "You alright, Henry?" "I'm fine, just a bit stuffy. I hope." "We'll take it steady, old boy. Hopefully you'll manage." Henry agreed and they set off into the night. However, halfway through the journey, Henry began going slower and felt weaker. "Come on, Henry, we're gonna be late at this rate." "I'm trying, I just don't feel well." "Alright then, don't push yourself too hard." Nonetheless, they arrived late at Barrow and Furnace. And as the train was taking onwards, Henry's crew checked them over. "I think it's an internal problem," observed the fireman. "Probably just some leftover soot. We can easily make it home." "I can already guess that it'll be a long night." And Henry sulked quietly all the way home. He arrived at the sheds late and quickly drifted off to sleep, feeling slightly better, but still a bit off. The next morning, the Fat Controller spoke to Henry. "I need you to assist Emily with a fairly long goods train to the other end of the line, just in case she has any more troubles." Henry knew he wasn't feeling his best, but he didn't want to be a burden, so he agreed. Henry met up with Emily in the yards, and soon they were whizzing down the main line. Emily could hear strange noises coming from Henry and grew concerned. "Are you all right, Henry?" "To be honest, not really. I feel like I'm straining myself almost everywhere I go." "Then why did you agree to help me with this?" "I've already given the Fat Controller tons of trouble with my health issues when I was in my old shape. The least I can do is carry on with my work." "Don't get me wrong, that's very thoughtful of you, but at the same time, it's kind of harmful to yourself, Henry. What if your problems get worse?" "I suppose you're right. I'll try taking it easy for a while, but let's get this train delivered first." Agreed. For the rest of the day, Henry took care with his other trains, and unfortunately, this didn't help his problems that much. And by the end of the day, he was feeling stuffy and uncomfortable. "What's the matter with you, Henry?" My boiler's grumbling." "Maybe it's grumbling at you, and it's probably a sign that's telling you to get up and pull your weight." "That's not funny. You just don't care." Rubbish. You were doing fine this morning. How can a big engine like you get defeated easier than a little tank engine like me? Henry lost patience and simply puffed away. Emily noticed that Henry was leaking water on the line. She was even more worried. Now he's leaking water. Something must be broken. Just like his common sense, if you ask me. In the morning, the Fat Controller asked Thomas, Percy, and Henry to deliver the next coal shipment from the coaling plant to the docks. Don't worry, reassured Henry's driver. We'll start early just in case we get delayed. Very well. But it wasn't that long until Thomas and Percy overtook Henry. Hurry up, Henry! Does it look like I can right now? What's up with Henry, Thomas? Oh, don't mind him, Percy. He's just being lazy and stubborn, I think. Meanwhile, Emily met the Fat Controller at Crosby Yard. Sir, I'm worried about Henry. He says he feels stuffy and I saw him leaking water. Oh dear. His pipes may be leaking. I suggest you go check up on him as soon as you can. Yes, sir. At the coaling plant, Thomas and Percy had a cheeky idea. Ma'am, Henry's actually supposed to take a larger amount of trucks, considering as he's bigger and stronger. Alright, seems logical. When do you think he'll arrive? Oh, I'm sure he's close. Now let's hurry, Thomas. Several minutes later, Henry wheezed into the yard. He was shocked to see the long line of trucks waiting for him. What the? Why did they leave me so many trucks? Thomas saw I wasn't feeling well. Or, mumbled the driver, he probably didn't believe you. Ah well, looks like we'll have to take the rest. Henry was coupled on and grumpily set off. He trundled down the line, moaning mournfully. Look sharp, Henry! But Henry couldn't help it. He struggled on for a mile before eventually he had to stop. We'll try and build up as much steam as we can. I'll alert the signalman. A few minutes later, Emily puffed alongside Henry. Oh, Henry, you look even worse. Definitely matches how I feel. Here, I'll take you to the docks. So Emily switched lines and coupled on. With a strain of a coupling, she and Henry pulled away. Thank you, Emily. I'm sorry about all of this. It's no problem. I'm sorry that you're unwell. The two engines chatted for a little while until Emily alarmingly reached steam and came to a halt. Oh no. What's wrong? I've run out of water. Oh. Bugger. Well, that's torn it, said Emily's driver. How are we going to reach the docks now? The crew thought and thought. I could give it another try. Are you sure, Henry? Asked the fireman. You're already not feeling well. I can manage. Trust me. And so, the preparations were made. Emily's brakes were kept off, and Henry was filled with determination. If it gets too much, Henry, tell us. Right, will do. Come on, Emily, let's get moving. It took effort, but Henry got Emily moving and the train moving at a decent speed. Emily's crew were amazed. That Henry's a real trooper, too, right? Keep going, you can do it, Henry, called Emily. Henry barely acknowledged her. He was too busy concentrating on keeping speed. Even other engines that passed by had shouted support to him. Well done, Henry! And they became closer to the docks. Meanwhile, at the docks, Thomas, Percy, and the Fat Controller were waiting when... Tired, stuffy, and sore, Henry inched his train and Emily to a gentle stop. Marvelous work, Henry, congratulated the Fat Controller. Emily, once you've refilled on water, could you take Henry to the fitter's yard, please? Yes, sir, and thank you, Henry. You're welcome. Thomas and Percy both felt ashamed. We're sorry, Henry. We didn't know you were really sick. I was too stubborn to realize that. I suggest you two shunt Henry's trucks and then head back to the coaling plant. Yes, sir, and they scurried away. As Emily pulled Henry away, she remarked, one on the headlamp for Thomas and Percy, eh, Henry? Henry chuckled. It's good to show someone up once in a while. In a couple of days, Henry was fixed and was back to work. I say, observed Emily, you look much better. How was it? Well, they fixed my tubes all right, but didn't even bother checking my brakes or my gauges or even my squeaky wheels. Oh dear. Silly Henry. No, the sad thing is I always mess up near the end of the episode.